Okay, we're live. Isaac's just started speaking to me halfway through. What do you want, Isaac?
This phone has signs of water damage.
Okay, well, write up what you find and give them a call. Okay, back to my train of thought. Yeah, we're back with a iPad Air Chargeport. Probably a signature fault, I'm thinking. I'll zoom in. I can't see it on this one, but it's definitely there. So let's have a look. Where are we? We're going to flick over to the microscope. Ah, I can see it. That's funny that. Okay, so if we zoom right out, so I'll give you sort of some perspective. This is a cotton bud. So that gives you the sort of idea of scale. Some tweezers that aren't ludicrously sharp. Okay, and you can see along here, it looks pretty good. Looks just like any other flex. If we get a brand new flex, doesn't really look any different. You can't see any creases or anything. But what I think, and a few other people I've seen mention this as well, like Chris Long, is they tend to flex along here, but when I've noticed in the housing, there's actually a gap underneath the flex here. So what happens is when this levers up, you can actually see it there start bending, and this is quite brittle. And I think what it does is it snaps the tracks along here. So if we have a look down, I was actually looking because normally you can see the fold, but if you zoom right in.
Do you mean the cable or an actual charge port?
Okay, if we scroll down, you can just about see it. Yeah, you can see it in there. So let me just make sure that I'm actually got sound. Yes, we have got sound. So yeah, you can see along here, if I look here, there's the sharp tweezers. There, you can see that crease. It's like a crack. And it kind of, you've got this white stress mark along here. And it goes all the way along there. That's actually snapped on the inside. You can see it down here. And there's actually a little crack up there. I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to see that with the naked eye. And like I said, I think it's a signature fault because there's a gap underneath. So, of course, when anybody uses these devices, when anybody uses these devices and the cable goes up and down, over time that's going to happen. So it's probably a design fault. I mean, we literally change, well, I don't know how many in a number, but all the ones that come in with no charging seem to always be the flex. So, and the flex is they've soldered it to the board, so it's not easy to change if even for the average repair shop. And Apple will just write your device off and sell you a new cheaper one for 10% cheaper. This is the new one. You can see here it's pristine. It's never been flexed.
We can do bank transfer.
Right. Okay, so let's have a look. In fact, let's plug this in first. Let's see what it's doing on DC. See if it's got any.
Okay, no problem.
If you look down the bottom there, you can see it's actually looks like it's working. But if I, hey, see that? If I flex this, it changes. Of course, the battery isn't connected, so there is going to be some jump in. But usually, you'd expect that to. If I hold that in place, that looks normal. There you go. See, going from 0 to what's that? 100. So yeah, it goes from 0 to 70 to 100 to 140 back to 0. But if you let go of it, and if I open this up, there you go. It's intermittent. You can see now it's not connecting at all. and all I'm doing, I don't know if I'm able to see that, I'm just holding that in a certain place. So what we're going to do, without going on and on, I'm going to quickly change this. Just been working on a old MacBook Pro with water damage, trying to find a short on 3G hot. It took me most of yesterday, but looks like a MOSFET's failed, so hopefully that's going to be a win. Okay, so to make sure you guys can see that, I'm just going to flood this and take it off. Rather than changing my Hacko setup for a bigger iron, I'm just going to use my old iron. The old iron I've got seems to take these off really well. So we're going to soak this. Wait for the iron to heat up. Take some solder. Hopefully we're moving shop, which means I'm going to be moving to a different shop and getting a different setup. So I'll be able to rearrange all of this a lot better. And I'm going to get ventilation as well. Okie dokie. One thing I have noticed as well with this, let's do it now. Is it easy to replace the iPad? Or do you have to replace if you have to do jumpers? No, we're just going to replace the whole flex. So you could do jumpers, yeah, you could just go straight from the Chargeport and go further up the flex. But, you know, if you know what you're doing, it's fairly easy to change this flex once you get the hang of doing a few of them. One of the things I have noticed while doing them is the glue can actually cause problems as well. So what we'll do is I'm going to stick this on the heat. I'm going to bring this up a bit, try and get this in focus. So yeah, what we're going to do is just flood this. You can take this off with heat. I've seen loads of different techniques of different people taking these flexes off in different ways. Everybody's going to like their own. There is no right or wrong way. The right way is to get it off without damaging the pads. The pads don't like to be changed on these. A lot of engineers will tell you that this isn't a replaceable part, and they've started to use this sort of hot glue technique on TVs and stuff. They have got fairly good pads underneath, so I mean I haven't pulled any of the pads, so it's, I don't want to say it's difficult to get wrong, because you know it will go wrong on live stream and I'll pull all the pads off. But I'm just going to try a new technique, because before I was struggling to get these off cleanly and then suddenly they just come off, but I think it's the glue around the actual flex cable on the board. So we're just going to heat this up to see if we can loosen some of this glue. I've seen people taking them off with heat. I don't like the heat idea, because you have to heat the whole board up. Can you replace? Yes, you can replace the pads, depending on which pads have gone and where those pads go. So you can do two things. The most expensive way is to actually replace the pads with proper epoxy, which is not economically viable. It's really only economically viable for stuff like CPUs and stuff that's really expensive. It would be better to jump to wherever the next port is. So for instance, you see all of these spots on the back here. These kind of correlate with these points on here. That's not the same on a lot of devices. The iPads are quite good for having test points on the back, so it would be quite easy to run a jumper from one of these down the flex to wherever. But in my experience, that crack goes across the whole the whole bottom of the flex. Inside the iPad, there's a gap underneath. I don't know if they've got the housing. Yeah, you can just about see it. I'll bring this up. Right, where are we? There we are, it's behind this bit here. You can see that gap there just at the bottom. It's not very big, you know, we're talking fractions of a mil, but what happens is the flex sits on here and then comes to here, and then this point here, I think, is actually causing the damage. It might not be that exact point, it might be a little bit further up, but the gap from that to the housing, that's what's causing it, just this sort of levering effect. I haven't actually seen one with, you know, port damage itself, and the port seems to be quite good. Yeah, more of a factory design fault, I'd say. It's probably fine if you never use it while it's on charge, but, you know, a lot of people do, especially kids. Trying to tell a kid to get off one of these is like, yeah, messing around with a drug addict. Okay, so that's fairly warm. I've got this set to about, well, it says 80 degrees, but it's one of these Chinese ones. I tested it the other day, it was like 68, so I'm happy that it's below what it says rather than above it. Okay, this is good. Normally I'll work from the other way around. Yeah, and you just gently, if you pull on these, you will pull pads. But you can see there, I'm pretty much free now. But I think down here, you can see the glue around the outside. Okay. I have to go keep up the good work. Watch the video later. Thanks very much, Dave. I do have a YouTube channel. It's called UK Microsoldering. I think there's another one called Microsoldering UK, so, but you'll see them. We've got a green logo, so if you look for that. But yeah, I appreciate any subscribes. Okay, what we're going to do is come in here and touch these up. And then we're going to clean it up and come in with a new one. Catch you later. I imagine there's lots of these iPads in circulation with this same problem, and people have just probably wrote them off. A lot of your sort of market stall repair shops or home repairs won't be doing this sort of repair. So if you're one of those and you want some extra business, send them to me and we can come to a deal, and then you can offer your customers this repair. Or you can watch the videos and learn yourself. Okay, so we're going to turn the Hacko back on now and turn my old trusted gigantic blackjack soldering iron off. Now, if you were doing this by eye, you can probably get it right. I mean, I've seen some videos, and I used to do this by eye myself, but it was only when I've come back in and actually had a look and gone, okay, yeah, that could be a hell of a lot neater. And maybe I've missed pads, I don't know. You obviously just test for charging, see that it connects to YouTube, see it connects to iTunes, and transfers data and everything, and that's all. But there's so much more that goes on with the Chargeport. You've got accessory lines and all sorts. Right, you can see up there, you see this square here, that's what we want. We want to connect that square there, and there's one at the bottom. And once you've done that, you should be able to do the rest of them. So if we try and not burn my finger here. What I'm going to do is we're going to take this off this preheater. Let's go for the bottom one. Obviously what you can do is replace the glue around the outside. And then once you've replaced the glue, you can just stick this in place and solder it. It's probably an easier technique. Can we see that? Let's move that up. It's actually a lot darker, this. There you go, I can see it now. Yeah, obviously don't recommend using your finger. But once you've got that in place, you can obviously hold that.
This is a microphone test. I'm testing loudspeaker, headphone, microphone, proximity sensor, and data speaker. Microphone test. I'm testing loudspeaker. There you go. That's a good example there. You can see the dark square around that sort of copper circle, so we know we're all lined up. So theoretically, every one of these pads is going to sit underneath here. You can see the holes we're just trying to tease the solder through. What I'm going to do, right now that's in place, I'll clean this soldering iron up and get a decent bit of solder on there. pretty good. Let's coat the whole lot in flux. And then we're just going to come down the middle and connect each one. Absolutely riveting. And you can tell the ones that are ground because they're the ones that take the longest to heat up. You kind of just got to do this by feel as well. You can kind of feel the flex drop. You don't want to stay on the flex too long. What I'm going to do is, once we've done this and it's tested, it's all working, I'm going to let Isaac have some lunch, and I'm going to get some lunch. I'm going to come back and we've got a gaming mouse to change the lead on. I kind of wish I'd done the MacBook on live stream as well, the water damage one. But it did take me most of yesterday to try and track down this. Sure, they're not my strong point. I'm sure a 7-hour stream on trying to find something isn't going to be that watchable. Okay, so we've got to the end, and I'm just going to go back over all of the ones. I mean, it looks all burnt up, but it's not. That's just... I don't know if it's sugar in the flux. I might be wrong. I've never actually looked at what flux is made of. It's made of a rosin. Or it's made of rosin. There we go. So let's zoom out.
What did you? Yeah. Oh, well, I do apologise. I'd like to anyway.
Okay,
Is it all right? What? I'm sorry.
what you want to do is when you're cleaning these, you can clean this protective layer off.
Aside from that, a price was put on the...
What was done to it? I don't even know what device it is.
It was the encyclopedia.
Oh no, it's just a 20.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the inspection. It had water damage, so we just...
Did it?
Yeah, we've... well, I think it's probably tea. It was something sugary.
It's my mum.
I was going to say, I'm assuming she's not drinking cans
Yeah.
of Monster,
Yeah,
so...
do you know what I said to her? Have you spilled anything on it? She's not free, you know what I mean? And she's going, no, Philip, I do. I said, I'm sure.
Well, what we've done, we've give it a water treatment, we've cleaned the board off, and
I'm much obliged, mate.
I don't know, it might develop faults in the future.
Well,
but
I've got no doubt it probably will, but the point is, she's used to it, and she does her quizzes at a cost.
Well, I was going to save her a few quid.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for looking.
No, that's quite alright, that's exactly why we're here.
Thanks, man.
Well, happy crosswords.
Yeah, thankfully it's it keeps the fight happy, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what you need in life.
That's right. Anyway, take care. Thanks, fellas.
Yeah, you
Have a
too.
nice day.
Okay, so now this is clean. Let's come back in, have a look at the work. Make sure it all looks connected. It's not the neatest, but I'm not concerned about that. I'm looking for bridges and to make sure it's all fully connected. Okay, there's a bit of sponginess there, but it doesn't look like there's anything underneath. That's probably why it's transferred to the plastic. I'm going to do that age-old confidence thing where I go, yeah, it's all sorted, and start putting stickers back on. Let's see if we can. There we go. Well, I'm going to put the sticker back on it anyway. It's not exactly straight, but it covers up what it needs to cover up. Okay, moment of truth. You're going to be looking for it going from 0 to 8, maybe 12 at the bottom. So we're looking for from 0 to about 80 to 100 to 120, or around that sort of pattern, and then looping. It's a nice connection. So there's the 8, 10, 7. Hanging around at 7. 8, 10, 20, 14, 16. There we go, back to 0. That's perfect. So it's detecting TriStar. See a loop one more time. It's detecting the battery isn't there and it's shutting down. That looks perfect to me. What I'll do is we'll just put it back in the housing and see if it pulls amps. I'm just going to put this in roughly because they are a bit of a pain to reconnect everything. And I want to do it nice and neat and get rid of this glue. So one thing that's always really bugged me about these iPads is the way they put the batteries in. Where are you, battery? You are battery. There we go. Oh, look at that. Classic. Well, I've just spotted something funny. I'll show you it in a sec. There you go. Straight to 1.6 amps. So I'm guessing where this hasn't been charged for a long time, it's pulling fairly normal current. Probably boosting the battery here, trying to get it to turn on. Happy days. I'll show you the thing that's funny. No, you're not going to be able to see that. Let's switch back over to a microscope. I'm glad I spotted this before I put it all back together. Nice one, part seller. Cheers. So now I'm in the dilemma, which is harder to change, the whole flex again, or to put the left speaker mount on. Nice one. Okay, so we're going to be doing that next, so I might as well continue on live stream and try and put that back onto this flex. Well, that's another good lesson. Check the bits before. Okay, so we're going to harvest this. Let's harvest it off the old one, so then when got decent parts it. Do you know, I picked up 2 flexes, the other one's got it on. Of course I've picked the one up that's... I mean, who sent that out of the factory like that? It's literally only got 3 parts attached to this flex. Someone's missed one. And then the quality department has missed the other. Okay, so that's where it should be. Here's one that I made earlier. These can be a pain in the arse to get off, so let's get back to preheater. Hopefully this won't take long. Oh look, we've had a nice short stream as well, 20 minutes. There we go. That's nice. This will either come off good or it will just melt. We got to do it twice, so happy days. Let's get a more direct nozzle. Remember, I've set this for MacBooks. I've noticed if you leave these little flex clips up, they just melt straight off, so. Just going to stay well above. You can go below from these. But what I found is when I've tried to do that before, the heat comes up around the side, and when they pop off, just melt up and curl up. So you can already see. Now let's touch this hot plate. Okay, so that's come off really good. Yeah. Oh, come on. Let's not mess around with that. Just have to get this a sec.
Hello there.
Oh no, Isaac's gone.
Pick up an iPad from Mr. Pollock. Is it Pollock?
Okay.
It was an iPad and a lightning cable.
Here we go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put some leaded.
You'll pay me when I get there, will you? Okay.
That's what he said. I quickly just have to run through some tests so you can make sure it's working. It's my gesture records that the person who takes it away knows that it's all functioning properly.
Right, okay.
So it's reassuring so you can tell Mr. Pollock.
Yeah.
See, it's got its case on it.
Okay, so we've just
No one sticks inside.
mixed that up, which a lot of people tell you not to do.
Turned on. Try and do this as quick as possible.
The crack on the screen was already there, was it?
Yes, it was.
Is that noted on there?
It was born of. Well, it's not been noted on here, but he knows about it because.
He does, but I don't want him accusing me of doing it, so if you could put something on there for me. Lovely.
Oh. Dumbass.
Charging.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll press connected. What have you done? Mute.
Put some new flux on that.
Yeah, the keyboard's all working.
Get that in focus.
Rear camera. Front camera. This is a microphone test. I'm testing a loudspeaker, headphone, and microphone. Headphone and microphone. Yeah, that's all working.
Clean the tips of these tweezers.
I'll just sign up on that. Okay. £5, please.
Lovely, thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, that's where my £1 pays. That's everything.
So I just need that for my. That's everything you need, yeah?
Yeah, that's everything you asked.
Perfect. Okay, thanks very much.
Right, cheers, mate. I'm going to get something to lean my hand on here so I can hold it. Okay, so looking at the other one here, we need to go right to the back. And I'll probably come in and just turn these up. Try and move this around so I'm actually right-handed to get in. Okay. Oh, I know. The bear glove. I see you. There were two of these. That's what you want to work with giant snow gloves. Nothing like precision work with massive gloves. Anyway, we just want to tag this in place. I'll do this the opposite way round. Thinking I made a good connection then. I'm going to come in and hold this down, make sure they're making a good connection. Okay, and then we need to flick, I think the other two are under here. Put me down. Hold this down while I do it. There they are. So again, we're going to spin this round. I've disconnected the power on the heater, but it's still hot.
size of these. Oh god, can't even feel the end of the tips. There we go. You've got to be real careful with these because it's plastic wrapped in metal. Sorry, metal little tiny points there. It's got this sort of delicate plastic coating that will just melt as soon as you go anywhere near it. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Just going to check the work. Just clean it up first. Get rid of this giant glove. That's about as far as I can zoom in. Let's try and get it all in for you guys. And yes, I am noticing all the innuendos. I'm just breezing past them. Okay, so that brings this video to an end. We've done the job of a Chinese company and a job for a customer. If I don't trash their board. Concentrate when I pull this tape off. The last thing I want to do is tear that off. Let's come back down and have a look at it, tidy it up. Make sure, but yeah, I think that's going to bring this video to an end. We've had to change an FPC connector and do a Chinese job for them, not a Chinese company's job for them. Should be no reason why that doesn't work. It's nicely connected. All the flux is gone. In fact, more old flux from the original. There we go, look at that. It's good. It's a good job. So we've changed the flex on an iPad Air 1 and that's brought that back so it's charging out. We're going to whack this back in the housing, seal it all up, put the glue back on the screen and everything for the customer. But if you're having problems with the iPad Air 1 and it's connecting or it's been dodgy for a while, that's the fix for it. If your local repair shop doesn't do it, tell them they can send it to us, or you can send it to us. You can have a look on the website, which is ukmicrosoldering.co.uk. You can go to YouTube. We've got a channel on there called UK Microsoldering. Like and subscribe if you're on there. And if you're on Facebook, leave a like on the page. And thanks for watching.